Flabbergasted podcast where we just can't believe you haven't seen it. Every week, we discuss a movie that one of us has seen and the other hasn't. Follow us on Instagram @FlabberPod. I'm your host, Rachel. Let's get to it. Hey, guys. This week, we watched Rogge. And I'm joined here with Rogge and Jessica, and I'm Rachel hosting. So that's what's happening.
The first one.
Yes, just Rogge.
Not to be confused with any of the multiple
Rogge
others.
and Bullwinkle.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So Rogge was released in 1976. It was directed by John G. Alvinson. That guy. His whole life was a 1,000,001 shot. When world heavyweight boxing champion Apollo Creed wants to give an unknown fighter a shot at the title as a publicity stunt, his handlers choose Polka Rocky Balboa, an uneducated collector, for a Philadelphia loan shark. Rogge teams up with trainer Mickey Goldmill to make the most of his once-in-a-lifetime break. So that's kind of the...
Where did you get that description of Rogge? Was that IMDb?
You get so disgruntled if it's more than like a one or two line description.
It was from Letterboxd.
Wikipedia? Oh, okay. I always read the IMDb one.
Oh, I always do Letterboxd.
Paloma?
Palooka.
Palooka.
This Palooka, like a jabroni. Some Palooka from Philly.
Huh. Okay.
I just hoped I said it correctly, so I was like, okay. So this film also won Best Picture in 1977, so there's a little bit more history about it. Before we jump hardcore, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys like my memories of this film.
What was it rated?
And I'm Rogge.
I already said who you were.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Okay.
What was it rated?
I don't know.
Rogge, you got the IMDb?
No, I just closed it. Control-Shift tab.
I know exactly how many curse words are in it, though.
This is just the website, imdb.com.
PG.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, 1976 standards. So it would probably be pushing R by today's standards with the swearing, or PG-13 is what.
Pushing R by how many hats he's wearing. Wearing a lot of hats and hoods.
She had some great hats.
She did have some good
nice hats.
I was digging that.
Apollo Creed also had a cool hat.
When did we stop wearing hats? Like, they're just baseball caps now.
People wear hats.
I wear hats.
Oh. Yeah. If you wear a hat, then it's like you're at one of those guys that wears fedoras or flat caps. Flat caps, I call those British orphan hats.
Newsroom.
You know what I'm talking about? Newsies. Yeah, newsy hats.
Peaky Blinders.
They are Peaky Blinder hats, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like old men in the South who wear like boaters, like the straw ones, you know?
I mean, I wear a good sun hat. I wear a hat with a brim if I'm going to be out in the sun. Got to protect this porcelain skin, man.
So we didn't stop wearing hats.
I just feel like it's not as common.
He's wearing a jaunty black fedora.
Last hat I wore was a Clearwater baseball hat. R.I.P. Clearwater. So
yeah, God but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
So yeah, there was 22 curse words in this film.
Did you count them or did you find that somewhere?
I found it. I found it somewhere. Yes. No, because I didn't realize how much, like after watching it, I've now become so desensitized to certain words that I was like, I feel like, so I grew up in a very religious household. And so there were certain things we were and weren't allowed to watch. And so I was talking with Rogge about this as we were watching it. I think this is the first time I have watched this film all the way through with it not being censored or like on Fox or like TV or like something where they cut certain things out of it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't remember several things and like it was just kind of weird. Like at one point, because my brother was really into the Rogge movie, like he was really excited and thought boxing and all of that was super cool. And so I remember for this one, my dad just was really concerned about some of the stuff that was in it. And so he tried to get, I feel like it was like electrical tape. It might not have been. This could have just been, like 8-year-old me not knowing what was going on. But he had some type of black tape and he was fiddling with the VHS to try to like cut out scenes. And so he ended up cutting out the picture, but not the like words. So we could still hear everything, but we couldn't see certain stuff. And so it just messed it up and like it didn't work properly after that. So we would just watch them on TV instead of VHS.
Okay, quick question to our technical guru. one, is that possible? And he nodded. Yes, it's possible. And two, how does the VHS take the audio feed? Like, how is that written into the film? It's magnetized. That's, yeah. Which I would have had the same question there. But okay, just like cassette tape. Interesting. Okay, continue.
Quick question to the Insane Clown Posse. Magnets, how do they work?
Okay, so that's my history with this movie. You've seen it before, right?
No, I have not seen it
before.
before.
Oh, you hadn't seen it before?
No.
Oh, for some reason I thought you had.
Double flab.
Dun, dun, dun.
Flab.
I'm in a place where a lot of people I know have seen it.
Okay.
And I recognize that it gets referenced a ton. And I know enough to be like, oh, yeah, haha. Without actually saying I haven't seen it. I'm
always being like that. I'm always like, oh, yeah, haha.
Okay. So just jumping right in, we open up into...
Wait, Rogge hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Rachel does not care. Rogge, go away. Stop howling for some reason.
What do you have for us?
I watched Rocky for the first time yesterday and today.
Mm-hmm.
This is also my first Sylvester Stallone movie of any kind, as far as I'm aware.
Really?
As that come to mind. I'm familiar with his face. Now, I guess I could have seen something that he voiced in, possibly. But I've not seen Zookeeper, where he plays a lion, I think.
Okay.
I had... You know, it's such, like you said, it's a very famous film. It was a high grossing film. It's one that people really like. And especially given that I consume so much sports media, it gets referenced by those people, and it's the Philly and like, oh, would you trade, Rocky for the Sixers to win a championship, like that kind of stuff. So I knew to be excited for Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed, and he lived up to it. Loved Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. Thought there was going to be more Apollo Creed for some reason. And also, frankly, thought there would be more boxing.
Yes. I read something and they're like, this is not really a boxing movie.
It is. I would say it's a boxing movie. There wasn't that much boxing. I don't know what else you'd call it. It's a
romantic comedy.
Movie.
Somebody said a romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy? I'm going to push back on both of those fronts.
I know. This is definitely a movie.
It's like a sports movie, but it's
a movie
like
where I was like,
everyman.
What is this movie about?
Great, love it. I tried to answer it several times in my notes. We'll get there.
I should say before we go too far, like I am surprised that I haven't seen this movie, or I would think if you know me, you would be surprised that I haven't seen this movie because of the age range of people that I grew up with. This is one of those movies that I would have seen. If you come in a few years later. I've seen a bunch of Sylvester Stallone movies. Like I get it. I've
Demolition
seen
Man.
Demolition Man. So funny.
Judge Dredd.
No, I didn't see that one.
Assassins.
So Rocky has 4 different genres.
Sports.
That's the 3rd one.
Drama.
That's the 4th one.
I'm out. What's 1 and 2? Sci-fi?
Action is the first one.
Action? That's wild. There's not that much action. Adventure.
That's how they could say boxing without saying boxing.
No, that's sports.
Action is number 1. Romance number 2.
Romance?
Sports is number 3. And drama number 4.
Romance?
They begin a relationship.
It's not romantically.
Do they?
They do begin a relationship.
There's definitely a relationship that occurs.
They become boyfriend and girlfriend. She moves in.
That's what I'm saying.
You're saying it like it's like very obvious and...
It was a little... Okay, but here's the deal.
I mean, I get it. They had a relationship. I'm using air quotes, you guys. A relationship. Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say how it started was great.
Okay.
But, like, it was definitely consensual as the movie went on. Like...
My fear with that statement is as the movie went on.
Here's the thing. Stockholm Syndrome is not really considered to be real anymore. It's not good science. Because really, Stockholm Syndrome was invented to explain why survivors of kidnapping didn't trust the cops that were asking them questions right away and trusted the other people more. So Stockholm Syndrome is, once again, as always, propaganda. But if it were real, it seems like Adrian just kind of like gave in and was like, I guess we're dating so that you don't kill me.
I feel like later on she stood up for herself with her brother.
Yeah.
And so I feel like kind of starting that relationship with Rocky, like, yes, it was super weird. I'm not
really
like,
weird.
I am not out here saying like, yeah, courtship. This is great.
70s were a different
Like,
time.
It was it's super weird how it went down. I did not love it, but I feel like as their relationship, friendship, whatever started to grow, she started to gain confidence in herself, and that showed through her physical features, her like meekness and like different things that gave her. What are you laughing at?
It showed when she took off her glasses.
Yeah. She went from ugly and shy to cute.
Yeah.
Also,
and so
she was ice skating.
I feel like we got to see a lot of growth from Adrian.
Do you think that actress had ever ice skated before? She was just kind of walking on the ice. This wasn't a Michael Scott situation where Steve Carell is actually really good at it and he was like whipping around. Why'd they put her in the ice skating rink?
I think it was just something to do. I think that was just part of like a date.
Is this a trivia?
I don't know if this is a trivia. Let me look it up. Here's what I know about the ice skating. And we're getting so off track here, but
here's one thing I knew about Sylvester Stallone. He's short.
Yeah.
He claims to be 5'10", but really he's like 5'9".
I did not look up his height.
Wow. Kind of surprised
How
by
tall
that.
is she?
I don't know.
Okay, you do that.
Are they married in real life?
I don't think
he's married currently.
Yeah, I think he just got divorced.
Okay, well, I don't have that trivia, but Jeremy looked it up last night, and there were supposed to be extras at the ice skating rink, and
there were none.
There were none. There was one person that showed up, and so they pivoted.
Oh, so they just changed the whole movie because they didn't have extras?
Well, let's not get crazy with the whole movie, but like that scene, they had to do a lot of pivoting.
That's so interesting.
So he claims to be 5'10", but people think he's the same height as his wife, Jennifer Flavin, who is 5'9".
And how tall is Adrian?
Talia Shire? She's 5'4".
Yeah, she's definitely shorter.
How tall was he?
5'9".
So that's like
5'10" on a good day. I know he
he
wears
seems
lifts.
a lot taller in the movie when he's like
a whole head taller than her,
looming over her in a very intimidating manner.
That's also like her meekness too.
He's a solid 5'9", you know?
Yes.
What he lacks in verticality, he makes up for in like having a big box head, you know? He's way shorter than Apollo Creed, than Carl Weathers. He's like 5 inches shorter.
What were your thoughts on the amount of money they won for their fights and then the charges that were established for using their locker room and shower? Did you pay any attention to that at the beginning?
I was like, well, didn't somebody say $150,000?
That was how much he got for Apollo Creed. She's talking about the very first fight that he wins against Spider Rico, where the guy comes in, he's like, all right, Spider, you lost. You get $40 minus 15 for the locker fee, and $5 for the shower and towel or whatever.
I totally missed that because I was like, isn't it illegal to headbutt somebody in boxing? 1, and 2, I feel like
it's definitely illegal to headbutt someone in boxing.
Concussions are not worth $40, man.
Yeah, Rocky made 40 and Spidey made 17.
I think that's ridiculous.
But that's in 1976 dollars, which are $5.53 now.
Today?
Yeah. So that's more like $220 for winning that fight for Rocky.
Horrible.
You think
I'm with Adrian. I don't know why anybody would be a boxer. But listen, don't come at me if you're a boxer. That's what the movie's about. You tell me.
That's
what
I think the movie's about. Is why are you a boxer?
Is it?
Isn't it?
No, I am a boxer.
I think he doesn't
talk about anything about his love for boxing, about how it makes you graceful or how it teaches you to battle adversity.
Adversarialism. Yeah. He talks about when they're in the ice skating rink, he's like, you're probably wondering why am I a boxer? Why my old man, he always said that I wasn't going to get anything with my brain, so I had to do it with my body. That's my Sylvester Stallone as Rocky impression. Ratings out of 5. How many stars out of 5?
Like a 2.
Yikes. Out of 5.
Nah.
Okay. Jeremy, out of 5? 2.5? Did I not say, enough? Was that the problem?
Yo.
Holly. No. Oh, I was opening my mouth too much. You're right. That's on me.
Here's the deal. I appreciate how Rocky was vulnerable with Adrian Like,
He just never stopped talking.
Oh my God, he never stopped talking.
Absolute lawnmower of a dude, just rolling right over her over and over again.
He's like, it's fine, you're shy. I'll talk enough for the both of us. Probably real relationship dynamics right there, though.
Polly, why doesn't your sister like me? I go in every morning and make a joke, and I come home on the way and I go into the store and make a joke, and it's like, does she not like me, Is there something wrong with my face?
Are we thinking he's like creepy?
that better?
That was a little better.
Thank
Are
you.
we thinking he's creepy for stopping at the pet store every day? Or are we thinking it's like romantic?
I just got early vibes that he is like low functioning.
I mean, I don't know where he is on that scale, but he's definitely has head trauma. And so, like,
You think?
I think that, yeah, there's just kind of a little bit of a skew there. I very much understand being a woman and men who feel like, oh, it's fine to do this thing over and over again. But like, she wasn't super interactive with him, but he wasn't doing it in a way in the pet store where like it was super creepy. Like,
Yeah, early on, you're like, oh, Rocky's kind of a good dude.
Like,
Yeah.
he's just
He,
trying to
cares
chat
about
with
people.
her.
He's not breaking people's thumbs when he was
Yeah.
supposed
Yeah.
to.
I do feel like
walking the
he's
little girl home.
Walks the
pretty
little girl home.
genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might not agree with him, but I do feel like he's being authentic.
But the moment in his apartment with her is definitely creepy. That is like, there are some creepy moments.
Fast. You can't see it now. There's somebody riding their bike out here in this economy.
I'm not a fan of Polly at all.
Polly, you got to explain what's the deal with Polly.
Don't know.
Most of my notes are about Polly, and they're just me asking, what's the deal with Polly?
I don't have much to explain about Polly other than he is an alcoholic. He is
The worst.
The worst. He's extremely. I did not remember any of the domestic violence that happened in this film when watching it growing up. So I don't know if I just wasn't seeing those parts or like whatever was cut out. Like, I remember Paulie being mean and I didn't like him. But like now with like the jobs that I've had in the past and like just being very much aware of like different like social circumstances, I was like, wow, like this is really bad. Like, not
Domineering.
good. Mm-hmm.
But he's also an idiot. Like, he's portrayed as dumb. So he's like dumb and insecure. I have loudmouth, dumb, drunk. That's what I have for Polly.
I don't like the way they were talking together about Adrian.
Like within earshot of her sometimes.
Yeah. She's a loser, all this stuff. And I'm
Rocky
like,
kind of defends her when Polly says that kind of stuff.
at one point he does, but at another point he just kind of is standing there and not.
Well, welcome
and
to
I'm like-
welcome to Rocky.
I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, do you like her? Do you not like her? And then I don't understand why Polly's like, she's a loser, but here, come over to the house. And I was like, oh, cute, you're going to set him up. And then she didn't know he was going to be there. And he's like, what did he say? I brought her for you, or I brought him for you, or something very ownershipy. And it was really weird
He's
vibes.
like, see, you're gonna dry up and like you're not gonna be worth anything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talking about her like biological clock for some reason. Because before that, he's like, what do you want with her, Rock? She's about to be 30. Like, she's, over the hill. And you're like, what is happening here, Polly?
It was very weird.
Which is wild because Polly, I believe, is older than her. And
Yeah.
he doesn't have a woman
Right.
in the picture. And so it was just like, yeah, just the switch of that of like, I'm fine, but you're this old spinster.
Yeah, that's the 70s hypocritical machismo.
I do have he talks, period, so period, much,
Yeah.
period.
They both do. Rocky does with Adrian, but then he never stops talking. I have a
this-
note later that's like, oh, is Polly supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be funny? There's a scene where he's like whistling while he walks down the street. He picks up a trash can and carries it down to an alley. That's the whole scene.
Yeah.
I was like, is this supposed to be slapstick?
I also feel
Am I
like they
watching
repeated
Marx Brothers?
themselves a lot.
Yeah. It's because they all have brain damage because it's the 70s. He's always following Rocky around. So he calls the freaking TV news station and is like, hey, come do an interview with my buddy Rocky who punches meat in here. He did that once and then surprises him. And then Rocky's just like, I don't want to do this. Okay, I'll just do it. Like, there's There's no like conflict.
I don't feel like I got very invested in these characters.
Oh.
Like they did not, and I didn't go into it trying to be like, I'm not going to like this movie. I went into it thinking, I really do love the theme from Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sing it all the time in my head and hum it out loud. Like randomly, it just pops into my head.
Yeah.
About the meat smashing, punching. Apparently, Sylvester Stallone damaged his hands when he was doing that.
Sure.
And to this day, his knuckles are flat.
Huh.
Wow. They just got pushed back. You could tell. I mean, it wasn't effects. Like it was doing damage to the slabs of beef.
Yes.
For sure. Now, as far as a character that I did think actually worked pretty well, Mick, the trainer. What did you guys think about the trainer, Mick?
I was not invested. You guys, I
Really?
hate it. I thought he was interesting. At the beginning, he pulls Rocky's stuff out of the locker.
Yeah.
And he like lays into him about, you could have been great, you could have been good, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, like where's that story?
Oh, about like how he should have been good. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
like the potential that he's realizing at the end is the closest thing we have to that.
Because he talks about later on that like he's upset that he's working for the loan shark and like wasting his time with that. And so like he just feels like, he's just
he's been training
not
the whole
focusing
time.
and like had he done that, then
And
he would
to
be
that,
better.
I'm like, you know what? It sucks. And this is the sacrifice that you have
Under capitalism.
because you got to survive.
Yeah.
Like you have to, sometimes you got to do the job you don't want to do.
because you said later that there was a pink slip on his door, right?
Well, there's something on Rocky's door the whole time. And we never know what's going on with it. But I thought it might have been some kind of pink slip, like an eviction notice or something.
I don't know.
But Mick comes up to Rocky's apartment. I just thought that was pretty good because you got the slow walk of him walking up, which is like, I know what this is going to be. He's going to try to weasel his way in to be on Rocky's team. Now that he has this big chance, he's going to make all this money. And Mick knows that it's not going to go well. And he doesn't want to do it, but he has to try, you know?
So you think he was like, there's nobody else that can help him.
No, I think
know
he's
him.
like,
I gotta do something.
No, not at all. I think he's like, he's about to make all this money. I have to try to get a cut.
Oh,
I have to try to get
he
in.
thinks it's not, he thinks Rocky's not going to take his help, but he's got to try because he wants a cut.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah. Like when a dude who's been going to my gym for years gets a fight with Apollo Creed, it would be ridiculous of me to not at least try to be like, hey, I'm Mick. I was hard on you, but I'm your trainer now.
Hard
like,
on you because I
gotta
love
try
you.
it. Yeah. Oh, you bought that? No, that was just me in front of the guys. I really love you. Like he was going to have to try to pitch something because you don't just let an opportunity to make some money off of Rocky go by.
And then Rocky gets mad.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
And Mick leaves. And then
it went on for a while where he's like, look at this clipping. I used to be good. I did this good thing. Like he really, even when it's clear Rocky is not into it, he's like, I'm going to give you the whole pitch. Like I came, you know?
I don't know. I think that Mick, he was one of the several people that was like, oh, like you're going to be famous, so I want to jump on this bandwagon. And
absolutely.
that was just so, you could see the frustration in Rocky with that, because like he had a couple people in his life that were like, okay, friends with, but then when this jumped around, one of them's Polly, one of them's Butt Kiss, the puppy dog from the store.
He does.
His
He's a big animal guy.
That's his real dog?
His real dog.
Big animal guy, Rocky Balboa.
Which I love. The turtles. As of 2019, he still had them.
Wow.
Let me
Cuff
get the dog.
and Lynx.
Yeah, isn't it cute?
When we were watching, I was like, oh, I forgot he had turtles. And Roggie's like, I think it's a fish. And I'm like, I think they're turtles.
I wanted a close-up of them being turtles.
over. And I was like, okay, yes, those are definitely turtles. That one's the fish.
Did he pick them up?
Yeah.
He ended up picking them out later.
And he got turtle food.
I know we talked about them being turtles for sure. Yeah. But I was like, it just looks like a bowl with rocks in it to me. Like, I'm not seeing them be turtly. I want them to go noggin.
When she gives him the dog, which was super cute. Like I got him so he could run with you. I was like, aw. And then they're walking into his apartment and she's like, he eats turtles.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. This says he was trying to sell his dog because he couldn't afford to feed him, but he refused to sell unless they agreed to allow him to star in the film. they agreed on the condition that Stallone continue to work as a writer without a fee and that he work as an actor for scale. And then there's like more info, but.
Wait, Rocky wrote some of this?
Sylvester wrote yeah.
After seeing Muhammad Ali fight in Cleveland or something the year before, he was like, boxing. That's it. That's my next thing.
Interesting.
That's my first thing.
Something with boxing. Yeah, it's my thing. He's an Academy Award winning writer.
What were your guys' thoughts on the storyline of Apollo just not worrying about this fight with Rocky and just so invested in whatever else he had going on?
So I thought all the Apollo stuff worked for me.
Okay.
I was like, look at this dude. And first of all, it's 1976. And the cosmopolitan, intelligent character here is the black boxer, which is great. And he's like, stay in school, kids. He's really thinking, he's playing 4D chess with like spending money on publicity and send the mayor's wife 200 roses. And like, he's trying to do that. Like, he's taking proactive steps I thought were intelligent. And why would he not be? I mean, Rocky's 44-20, just fighting schlubs from Philadelphia, and he's fighting the best in the world.
Yes, agreed.
He's 5 inches taller than him. He's an absolute god. Like,
I really appreciated, and this is probably one of the things that I liked the most outside of the animal stuff, because hello, animals, is that Rocky, in any time that I saw him reference Apollo Creed, it was respectfully.
absolutely.
He was not like, he wasn't harsh, he wasn't mean, the competitiveness was not about, I'm better than you, I'm going to kill you. And
He just wanted to go the distance.
he just wanted to go the distance.
Yeah.
He wasn't even thinking like, I want to win. He was thinking, I want to survive.
Yeah.
And maybe not like get knocked out.
Yeah, you got that scene where he lays down on his bed next to Adrian, and he's saying like, look, I don't think I should even do this. Like, I'm not in his class. I'm not in his league. I want to go the distance. And that'll kind of prove to me for the first time that I'm more than just some schmuck from the streets of Philadelphia. Like, that I was actually good for something. Because up to now, it's just kind of been whatever. Like, I got to take the opportunity.
Yeah. I think that was probably one of the best things about it is
Yeah, that was kind of the heart and soul.
Relationship.
Yeah.
Even though they don't interact very much.
Yeah, because I mean, he sees him on TV the first time, right, when he's sitting in the bar, and he's defending him. He's like, he's the best. He's the champ. Like, he comes to his defense several times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Did you guys have any feels when like the certain like music was playing? Like when he's, getting pumped up and like working out and
he's
stuff.
He's doing his runs. A little bit.
We all know that I love a good montage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. Also, the little trivia: most of the Rocky scenes jogging through Philadelphia were shot guerrilla style with no permits, no equipment, and no extras. The shot where he runs past the moored boat, for example, the crew were driving by the docks, and John G. saw the boat and thought it would make a good visual, so he had Sylvester Stallone simply get out of the van and run alongside. Another similar story is where he's jogging through the food market and the people are like looking at him and they're not looking at him for the sake of the movie. They're kind of like, what is this guy running through the market for? And somebody throws Rocky an orange, and that was completely improvised, who had no idea that a movie was being filmed.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I think
that's
kind of fun. But I love the theme, and which is so weird because, again, never saw the movie.
Yeah, I thought Eye of the Tiger was going to be in it.
Is that
not a boxing thing?
I thought it.
So was it not in this one? I was going to say it's definitely in the later one.
The later one.
But like because there was just that was in this one. Yeah. And so like I started like humming along to it and just like doing the trumpet and whatever without even realizing it, just because that's such a.
I'm hearing from Jeremy that Eye of the Tiger is Rocky 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Written for the movie.
Nice.
Which is another song that gets stuck in my head.
It did work for me because when you had the people looking up and he's just running down the streets, it was emphasizing the like Apollo Creed coming in versus like, I just want to fight a local dude, like real man of the people, someone that just worked his way up from nothing. He's you kind of see like so I've seen Creed, with Michael B. Jordan, which I guess has Sylvester Stallone in it. So yes, I have seen Sylvester Stallone film. And there's kind of people cheering for him as he's running the streets, or people would like run with him a little bit in that one. It's like, yeah, Philly, like Rocky's our guy. Like I got some of those kinds of vibes when the music was going.
Like camaraderie kind of thing. Yeah.
People coming together for a common cause is always fun.
Yeah. That's always a fun.
It's a good pull. Yeah. I thought the music in general was good. There were a lot of drops of, it's just kind of like 70s, like jazz and like brass stuff, which I thought it worked. I
always love in the sports movies, and I cannot relate at all, and maybe that's why I love it, but getting up at the freaking crack of dawn.
4 a.m.
to go work out.
Getting up in the wee morning hours.
To drink 5 raw eggs and then to go run.
Yeah.
Up a bunch of steps.
First of all, I'm like running. What is that? And which I really should do, but I don't. And then secondly, I'm like, that is commitment to get up early to do that. I'm not a morning person. Like I have to start mentally preparing to get up the day before I get up in the morning.
Today I woke up at 6:10 because I was going to go play pickleball, but then it was raining, so I didn't. And but I've been getting up every Friday morning.
If I had gotten up at 6:10, I would have looked at my clock and went, what the heck? I can get another... Even if it were 2 minutes, I'd be like, I'm getting those 2 minutes.
I can't. I have to wait for the alarm because if I look at the clock and it's 20 minutes before, there's no way I'm falling back asleep almost ever.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm a morning person.
How do Fred and George do like in the morning? Do they get you guys up?
No.
No?
Never.
Oh my gosh, Daphne.
They're so great.
Daphne when you guys...
Fred will kind of rumpus around like...
At like 9.
But he's on my feet.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Like he will get up and kind of twirl around. And like, if I were to lift my head or my hand to like wave at him, he would be like, oh, are we getting up? And then I lay back down.
If I'm still,
and then he's just like, oh, okay, we're not getting up. And so then he'll just stay lounge.
He's good
Did Daphne wake you guys up when she stayed with you?
No, because I kept her. So I had Fred at my feet,
you tied
George
her down,
at my right side, and then I had Daph on my left side at the edge of the bed underneath my top blanket.
Like arm crook.
Oh,
so
okay.
like she was like, I was like touching her. Either she was touching my leg or like I had my hand on her the whole time. So that way in case she had to get up and go to the bathroom, I could hear her.
Yeah.
But she pretty much stayed because we keep it pretty cold. So she stays pretty snuggled whenever she's with us. So
George especially, he'll be like 10:30, cool. We can get up now. That's fine. He's just like completely zonked out with us in bed.
Yeah,
he's kind of jealous about that.
But when I get up, when I get up a lot earlier during the school year, I get up at 6:10 every day. Rachel gets up whenever later, and they get up with me and go to the bathroom, and then I let them back in when I leave, and they just go and cuddle with you again.
Yeah, we have hardcore trained them to cuddle. And they're really good at it.
Cuddle babies.
Yeah.
Let's make a podcast about Fred and George.
Okay, so Rocky Balboa.
Okay, was that an okay? We all heard that?
I mean, okay. So he had 43 victories, 38 knockouts, and 20 losses. Those were his stats coming into the arena.
So
and then,
what does that tell you about him as a boxer?
So that's my question. Are the 38 knockouts included in the victories?
Yes.
Okay. So he's an okay boxer, and he gets more knockouts than anything else.
So it means that he's only, 6 times won a match, or 5 times won a match that wasn't by knockout.
Correct.
So he's not a better technical boxer. He's not winning stuff.
Distance, he has to have the stamina because if you win by knockout, like you're done. It's over.
You're done in the 3rd or 4th round or whatever.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a lot of stamina. I think that he's good at delivering some knockout blows, but to win a round, right? Apollo won the final. Spoiler alert: Apollo won the final match 8-7. Right? It's whoever got the better hits in that round.
Yeah. The
judges are keeping track of it. So he doesn't very often stay consistently winning rounds. We saw him in that first fight where he's just kind of like getting beat up, and then gave a couple of good punches and got the knockout. So he's not consistency isn't his thing. As we can kind of see, he's not a guy that we saw in his life really being, he doesn't keep his apartment clean. He doesn't have a 9-to-5 job or a solid plan day to day.
I did this when I was coaching basketball. There was some video that I was watching, and it was about somebody teaching defense. And they were like, you see these guys that do this move, and they demo the move, and they're like, you don't get the layup with that move because you're so good. You get the layup with that move because the defense is so bad.
Right.
So like this makes me think of that, right? Like he doesn't get the knockouts because he's such a good boxer. He's getting the knockouts because he has, the one good punch asset. And that doesn't make him a good boxer. It just makes him kind of, he fell into it sort of. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't really know if that's how you talk about boxing. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it makes me think of. It's not the way. There's a lot of other work that he needs to do to be a good boxer. When
they tie his shoelaces together or whatever, like you got to work on your feet. You've got to be more agile. You've got to be thinking about this and that. Yeah. For sure.
So Apollo comes out and he's on a boat. He's just hamming it up. Just
in disbelief, but also I do love all of the like fanfare, showboating, like I like a good show. So that's kind of fun.
Was he throwing sparkle or what was it?
He was throwing money. That's like what the announcers were saying.
They said money, but it didn't look like bills. So it must have been like, yeah. I guess it's 1776. So maybe they're doing like bicentennial coin quarters or something like that. And a quarter then is worth like $1.50 now. So
he was George Washington, and then he was Uncle Sam, and Rocky.
I was like, wow, dude, you're really patriotic.
Rocky quoted when he saw him.
I wrote this down too.
It looks like a big flag. And Rogge laughed out loud.
What?
What a stupid line.
I thought it was hilarious because Rogge started laughing. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Rogge's not a laugh out loud person usually.
Yeah.
If I'm laughing out loud at something in like a movie like this, it's because I think it's so dumb that someone just said that. It was so poorly written. Like, what was the goal there? Be like, really zinged him. Like, get a load of this freaking dude. Yeah. A big flag. Like,
but he wasn't trying to be zingery, right?
Then what was he trying to be?
I think he was just commenting.
Hey,
I think so too.
Nick, just so you know, just so you know what I'm seeing here is that this guy looks like a big flag.
There was a lot of going on. He was probably overstimulated.
He was probably just saying out loud what he was thinking.
Do not be ableist, Rogge. Rocky, as someone that's on the spectrum of some kind, we have to consider the all the different triggers that were going on for him. Well, he says right after that, he's like, "How much you think that robe cost?"
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's like they're trying to dig him a little bit, like, oh, he's just glitz and glamour over substance, and he's trying to get like a mental edge on
yeah.
him.
Yeah. So we get into the fight.
Freaking big flag looking moron. Oh, he's got a big hat. George Washington wasn't black. Like we're just making jokes that aren't good, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So we get into the fight. And Rocky gets him with a quick punch. And they said that that's the first time that Apollo's been knocked down. What are your thoughts on that for him being such a big wig fighter?
That surprised me, actually.
Never being knocked down and Rocky knocked him down in the first, I think it was the first round.
I think that's
maybe it was the third. I don't know.
I think it was the first. I think that's supposed to be like, oh, he took him for granted. It's just another kind of beat in that storyline where he wasn't watching Rocky's videos of him punching the meat and stuff like that. Like, see, not every, nobody's untouchable. It's like in 300 when Xerxes gets hit with the spear and it like grazes his cheek and it's like, oh, even a god can bleed. Like, but then the thing is, he doesn't just crumble. You see Apollo like goes into like locked in mode. He's like, oh, okay, I'm going to mess this guy up. Like he starts taking it more seriously from that point. So it was just about that for me. Because there are boxers who like never really, Floyd Mayweather went like 102-0, like never lost. Because he basically just like dodged every punch, never got hit, and got in enough that he won every match. And so like there's people that's their whole deal.
Okay, Jess, how did you do with the blood and fighting and stuff? Was any of that bothersome to you? Or no, you did fine with it? Okay.
No, in fact, I'm like, do you think they're really landing those punches?
Great question. No.
Okay.
Not most of them.
It did not look like it.
Right.
But they had the body response.
Yeah, some
mostly
of them, yes.
Well timed.
We had some, we were getting head snapbacks just from jabs.
Right.
I thought it was pretty well choreographed. But like, have you seen Creed? Michael B. Jordan's Creed?
No.
That one is like, I think are landing real punches. Like there's some that now, and maybe some of it's CG, but you get like the face, like slow-mo, and like the face, like the
and
skin
the
that's
spit
like
flying out of the mouth.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you weren't quite getting that, but I thought their faces looked really good. They're swollen, puffy eyes and stuff like that, the bruising and things.
I kind of appreciated how you don't see
most of they skip from the second round to the ninth round or whatever.
That, and also like you don't really see the hit land and bust the eye open, which is kind of what you were just talking about. Yeah. But you do see the after effects of them being beaten up. So I think I appreciated that they had marks on them.
Yeah. They were doing a lot of cutting to different angles, like right as the punches were landing, I think to sort of hide some of that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're looking from under the ropes now, and we're flipping around and some different things.
I think it's just a lot harder probably then to make the fight scenes as realistic as we can do them now.
Yeah.
And also just as a to throw out there, like it's appreciated so much. Like I watch not that, but other movies, and I'm like, that took a lot of time. It took people that are experts in their field to choreograph this fight scene, make it look realistic, and, fingers crossed, not actually damage people in the process. There is a little blurb about the fight scenes. Sylvester Stallone, Carl Weathers, and John G. Avildsen, the director, decided that the scenes needed to be shot in a unique way so as to make the boxing more realistic than in other boxing movies of the period. He, Weathers, and Stallone all went into a ring and began to block out the moves, but it wasn't working, and the fight was coming across as staged and not very energetic. After stuntmen fight choreographers Paul Stater and George P. Wilbur resigned due to creative disagreements, Avildsen then told Stallone to go home and literally write out the fight. Rocky throws a left, Creed moves back, Creed goes right, Rocky goes right, Creed jabs low, etc. The next day, Stallone returned with 32 pages of specific directions for the fight, which he and Weathers learned like a ballet over a period of a few weeks. In total, they rehearsed over 35 hours.
Wow, that's a workout.
So you got to do.
I mean, they were dancing quite a bit.
Yeah.
They were jumping around.
So, Rachel, you've seen the later boxing movies, right?
Yes.
The Rocky movies. Did they go more into so this movie, like we've kept saying, not super boxing focused. Was the violence and the blood and the bruising and stuff, did that become more of like, oh, Rocky 3, it's not as much about the plot. We're really getting into close-ups of their faces getting beat up.
I think it does. We do focus a little bit more on the boxing later on, especially depending on which episodes we get. But also, Adrian is in the picture later on, and she is not for boxing. Okay. And so we get a lot of pushback from that of how she wants him to be careful, and like with different guys that they're focusing on and fighting. Mr.
T.
Yeah, Mr. T's in there. They fly all the way to Russia, and he fights, a crazy Winter Soldier guy.
Rogge.
And so like there's just a lot going on with that. He does fight Apollo again. And so that's kind of fun. But I don't think we see that one. I think that that's just kind of something they talk about, and then like they do, and I think the movie ends like them just throwing punches.
Okay. So you don't think that there's a big jump in like the emphasis on watching the fist hit the face, or like trying to make it more gory, boxy?
I don't think gory. Okay. No, I think they might make it a little bit more boxy, but
interesting.
No.
A little more boxy. Did you ask me that question, by the way, Rachel? Because I'm like, oh, I can't watch that. It's too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when at one point where he's like, cut my eye, Rogge goes, what is happening? And
cut my eye is like, that's a pretty specific thing to be asking somebody to do.
You get it though, right?
Yeah. It's because he released the blood so he could actually open his eyelid. But I mean, I get it, but if you cut too deep, now you're cutting his eye, so that's trust.
You got to be careful. Yeah. Which a trust that was not shown built up over the course of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, we see them training a little bit, but it's not.
The locker boy is there. Like the one that cleaned out his locker and like put the stuff in the back. He's like, look, I just do what Mick tells me to do. So like he was one of the guys in his corner, and like that's one of Rocky's, what I consider one of his guys. But
so how did we feel about Sly's acting? Sylvester Stallone, actor. Was he good at, was he emoting? Were you getting emotions from him?
I feel like he was very genuine as Rocky.
Okay.
Like I believed that that's who his character was.
The Rocky trying to be a good guy.
Yes.
Stuff.
I bought that.
Yeah.
I was not overly impressed with anybody's acting in this movie.
Carl Weathers.
I mean, he was good, but again, I just wasn't, nothing in this movie pulled me in to make me invested in them.
Yeah.
I was not like excited about their journey.
There's not really much of a journey. It's not, I mean, we get one scene of him as a mob enforcer.
Yeah.
We get a couple scenes of Polly being really weird. And then he just gets a chance to fight Apollo. Like, it wasn't an arc that like Rocky we didn't have the like up and then like act 2, something bad happens. And then we reach like that just wasn't how it was.
And this only happened over a couple months, isn't it?
Yeah. 5 weeks to train.
Yeah. 5 weeks to train. And there's only a couple weeks before, like maybe a week before Thanksgiving that it starts.
Yeah. So like, this is just a very small window.
Mm-hmm. Which I appreciate, it being low stakes.
Yeah.
And I was glad that it wasn't like, oh, my life's over because I didn't win this fight. Like, my goal is to go the distance with them, is to put up a good show, to be competitive, to show them not a joke.
Right. I appreciated all that. I just wasn't super psyched about like, and I don't know if this is a Jessica all the time thing, or I don't know if I'm like growing into this, but I appreciate the journey. Like, I want to get invested in the character and see them grow in some way, or just whatever, grow in some way. Like, I enjoy that. And you get that a little bit with Adrian. Like, I do think she's very shy and she comes out of her shell a little bit and becomes
stands up to Polly a little bit,
yells in his face, which I'm like, thank you. Who's doing the laundry? Who's doing the cleaning? Like, I mean, you take that for granted. So I appreciated that. And I think she kind of has the most growth.
Yeah, she definitely does. And then everyone else, it takes them a couple more movies.
Okay.
So do we think we'll be watching Rocky again?
I'm not going to watch Rocky again. I will listen to the theme song, which is Gonna Fly Now. Yes, in case you were wondering.
No, it's the Rocky theme song. I don't know that I will. I don't think I'll be watching Rocky again.
Would you watch the other ones?
Hold on. Just really quick. They're fighting. Where's Adrian?
What's up with that? She's back in the locker room.
She
doesn't want to watch.
Did she say she didn't want to watch?
No, it was implied. That's a classic girlfriend of a boxer thing.
Okay.
She, like I said, like, she struggles with it. Like, she doesn't like him getting hurt.
Yeah, but you're bringing that back in from future movies.
I'll buy that. Yeah, you are bringing that, because I did not pick that up in this movie. And secondly, so
she was
then
kind of
she's
just supporting him.
Sort of like struggling to get
that was weird.
to the ring.
Yeah. Rocky.
And I'm like,
Rocky, like, he can hear her.
Yeah, like he can hear her, because he can't hear her. And second of all, if you're Rocky, you're going to have, I'm sorry, maybe you aren't, but I just feel like he should have his little locker room buddy, the guy you're just talking about, Rachel. Why is he not escorting her to the ring to make sure she gets there?
She was in the back.
Yeah, and when the fight's over, you go get the girlfriend and you make sure she can get to the guy.
That should have been pre-planned, because he was not in any kind of mental state to do anything.
That's
All
what
he
I'm
could
saying.
say was her name. He can't see any. His eyes are just all completely closed up.
She could be standing right in front of him.
He doesn't know. Fight in this capacity too. So I think like they kind of learned a few things.
He
maybe he needs to learn things. But what about Mick, who was in 500,000 fights and won 8,000 belts?
In the 20s.
I was gonna say Mick is just really old.
Jack Dempsey, see? Yeah, he's not had the big production version of it.
But did you see that Polly let her in? He like moves the rope so that way she could climb in and go see him.
A tiny little itty bitty teensy weensy redeeming Polly.
Hey.
Just because you're not a douchebag all the time doesn't mean you're cool.
I've heard it both ways.
I really appreciated also how in the 15th, like the last round, the crowd was cheering on Rocky. Like, he had won over the crowd at that point.
It's a local thing, yeah.
Like, they were just like, yeah, let's go.
I liked how they're like, we're not doing a rematch. Like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah, they're just saying to her, like, no rematch.
No, that's not happening. And then somebody's asking him questions, and I always find this so funny after sporting events, and they have the press releases, and they're like, what do you need to do to win? Like, how do you be better? And they're like, you be better? Like, what do you want me to say? Yeah. I'm not going to tell you my training plan.
Take the shots.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they give good answers. You got to ask the questions. I get it. If you would like us to know something about why Rocky is actually the best movie of all time, if you've got specific thoughts about heavyweight boxing regulations and how they were being flouted in the mid-1970s, or if you just want to remonstrate us for not mentioning that the actor that played Mick, his name was Burgess Meredith, which is great. That's a great actor name. I mean, I've heard of that guy. He was in stuff in like the 40s and 50s, but we would love for you to give us a call at the Flabber line.
240 movie 76. That's 240 movie 76.
Shoot us a text, give us a call, just howl if you need to, and we would love to hear from you. Follow us at FlabberPod on Instagram, not X, not
The
Twitter
YouTube?
anymore. YouTube. Oh yeah, hit us up on YouTube.
Leave us a comment.
If that
Let
is
us
how
know.
you prefer to consume your media, we're also on YouTube.
I really
case you
am
didn't
curious if you loved Rocky. Like, tell me.
Are
I'm
we
interested.
missing something other than just not being 13-year-old boys when we watched it?
Right,
Maybe
like-
that's the ideal way to do it.
Maybe it didn't age well for me. I don't know.
My brother's favorite one is the fourth one.
Which is like widely considered to be the worst of the first four. I mean, the even later ones are like the sixth one is supposed to be awful or whatever, but
I don't know, whatever the Russian
Yeah.
one. He just thinks that
that's the
one's
fourth
great.
one.
Well, doesn't everybody love that?
I just like there's just a lot of mumbling and like bagul. So
He just talks so much,
He talks a lot.
much, and repeats himself so much that I was like, this has taken a lot of energy for me to watch this.
Oh,
well, guys, before we talk too much, we'll say bye and see you next time.
Bye. Have a great summer. We'll be back in a few months.
Toodles.
Bye.